Let's talk about a few things you absolutely should be aware of if you are thinking about buying a new construction home. Hey, Jose here, your SoCal Realtor. If you're even thinking about buying or selling a home, do not hesitate to reach out. My team and I, we are here ready to help you with your real estate needs. Real quick though, before we get started, I just want to clarify, I'm not necessarily saying it's a good or a bad thing to buy a new construction home. In fact, quite the opposite. I just want to make sure that you are aware of these 6 things before you do. I wish I knew I could hire a real estate agent to represent me. Sometimes I do get surprised by just how many people don't realize you can and honestly really should hire a real estate agent to represent you, and best of all, it doesn't cost you anything extra to hire one.
How is that possible?
When the builder is preparing to sell their inventory, what they're doing is they set aside a marketing, or I guess in this case you could call it an agent budget. But now when you go through and you're looking at that new construction home and you bring your agent with you to help you do that, it's already covered. Or really, I should say, in like 99.9% of the time, it's already covered. They've set that aside. They're prepared to take care of that. And no, before you ask, I have never seen a builder lower a sales price because you don't have a buyer's agent. Just in this case, they get to keep the marketing dollars that they had allocated for that house. But is there really a benefit to having a buyer's agent when you're buying a new construction home? Well, let me tell you. When you're going through the process of buying that home, and you hit a point where there might be a need to negotiate something, and honestly, many times there are, it definitely pays to have someone that's experienced in purchasing a new construction home, someone that's familiar with the process, someone that's there to ensure that you get the best possible terms for that home, as well as every incentive that's available. Because that sales rep at the builder's office, they're not going to negotiate for you. They have an obligation to negotiate for and work for the builder, which is also their employer. I wish I was more aware of the potential delays in the building timeline of my new home. Understand that early on, the builder will give an estimated completion date for your new home, and it's usually right about on that date that you're going to be able to get the keys for your new home. But there are potential delays that could come up that are outside of the builder's control. A few examples could be things like the weather, because if it's raining and they're still trying to do some work on the outside of the house, that's obviously going to put things on hold until the rain dries out. Or here's another one. What about the delays in deliveries of material or appliances? That was pretty common during the pandemic years. In fact, I personally had a couple of clients that their home got delayed because of delivery of appliances. Or another one. What about the building inspector? Every builder is at the mercy of the building inspector's schedule, because before they can move on to building another segment of the house, they have to have the building inspector come in, review and inspect what's been done, and sign off on that. But if the building inspector is delayed in getting there because their schedule is full, well, that could slow things down. Now, for some people, this might not be much of a big deal, but for others, it might be. If maybe you have a deadline as to when you have to be out of where you're currently living, or maybe you're relocating from out of the area or out of the state, then yeah, for someone like that, it might be a big deal. I would just say this. Make sure that you're prepared. Make sure that if there is a possible delay, that you do have a backup plan. Although honestly, if there is a delay, it's not usually more than maybe a week or two. Of course, I mean, the unknown could always happen. So you want to make sure you're prepared. My advice is have your agent stay on top of the builder. This way they can help keep you up to speed on when you can expect the home to be ready by. However, once you start closing in on that estimated completion date, usually it's within a few weeks to maybe within a month or so, that's when the builder is going to be able to give you kind of that hard expected completion date for your new home to be ready. Do me a favor, if you know of someone, or maybe that someone's you, but if you know of someone that did buy a new construction home and it did get delayed, do me a favor and tell us about that in the comments below. I wish I realized the extra costs when buying a new construction home. Yeah, when you see that advertised price for a new construction home, whether you saw it on a billboard or you found it online or you saw it in a magazine, they still sell magazines, right?
Grandpa.
The price you see is for the smallest home on the smallest lot with absolutely no upgrades of any kind. I've yet to see that happen. They know that when you're walking through those model homes, you're going to fall in love with some of the upgrades, whether that's upgraded countertops that are in the kitchen and bathrooms, or maybe it's the upgraded appliances that they have in there, or maybe it's the upgraded flooring. And listen, it may not be all of them, but they are counting on you falling in love with and wanting at least some of those upgrades. There's an upsell for the builder. There's also the lot, because they do charge a lot premium too, depending on what direction your home faces, or what kind of views your home has, or how big is the lot, or is it a corner lot? Those are all examples of what could affect just how much they charge for that lot premium. So the sales price, it can go up because of the upgrades, it can go up because of the lot premium, but it can also go up because of structural upgrades.
What is that?
That's anything you want done differently when the house is being built. I mean, maybe in the kitchen, maybe you want an island put in and there's room for it, but that's not part of the standard feature. Or maybe one of the bedrooms, you, instead of a bedroom, maybe you want it built into it to like an office, maybe something built into the wall, or what, just, or maybe, listen, we could go on and on here. It's just anything you want done differently that's not the way the house is scheduled to be built. Of course, that is as long as it's something that they can do. My recommendation here would be to anticipate roughly 5%, maybe even as much as 10% above that advertised sales price. Of course, that all depends on things like the upgrades as well as the lot premium. I wish I was better prepared for my design center budget. I would highly recommend, before you schedule that appointment with the design center, have a budget in mind, the max you're willing to spend. Trust me, it's very easy to get carried away here. I mean, everything that they're showing you, it's beautiful, from the kitchen design options to the wall coverings, to the appliances, to the flooring, and just, it's all beautiful.
I'll take everything.
But it can all add up pretty quick. Don't do that. Give it some thought. What is the max you're willing and comfortable spending before you do go in? Because again, if you don't, I mean, it's very easy to do that. You go in there, they're going to show you the options. Oh, I like that. Oh, wow, that's really neat too. We should get that one too, right? And before you know it, you're done. They slide that paper in front of you and you get sticker shock as to just how much that all added up to. I wish I knew I could hire my own independent inspector.
I didn't think that was allowed.
Not one that's usually thought about. I mean, because think about it. I mean, it's a brand new house. It's just being built. I mean, why do I need one of those? You'd be surprised. That's why I always recommend have your own independent inspector go through the house. So, someone that's not employed by the builder to go through and inspect the home. And I know. You already do that, right? I mean, you go through the house with the builder, or usually it's the foreman, but you'll go through the house with the builder, and everything you see that, oh, that's an issue, you put your little piece of blue masking tape on it. Yes, this is pretty standard practice. You're going to go through there, and maybe there's a chip or a crack in one of the tiles, blue tape on that, or maybe one of the doors doesn't swing right, it kind of sticks or something, blue tape on that, or maybe one of the drawers just kind of sticks, it doesn't flow right when you open it, or just, right, blue tape on that. But I promise you, you will not go through the home, not anywhere nearly as thorough as a professional home inspector will. They typically spend a good couple hours going through the house in complete detail. They're going to go through the electrical for every single room, making sure that it's set up and working correctly. They're going to check things like the plumbing, making sure that that is working correctly. They'll check the insulation in the attic to make sure that it's spread out evenly throughout the attic. Yeah, because if it isn't, trust me, that's going to affect your heating and cooling bills every month. You'd be surprised how many times they do find something like that. Something that you might not discover right away, or maybe not even discover at all. And yes, listen, I get it. It is going to cost a little bit of extra money to be able to have an independent inspector. And it's not something that you have to do, but in my opinion, I think it's definitely worth it, especially if they find something like that should be or maybe needs to be corrected before you move in. What I would do is I would have your home inspector scheduled about a week or two before you're supposed to meet with the builder for your walkthrough, or I guess we could call it blue masking tape day, but I would say schedule that about a week or two before. This way you now have your home inspector's report back. And when you do meet with the builder for your walkthrough, now you can hand over your inspector's report, or in this case, I guess you could call it a fix-it list to the builder. I wish I knew what the neighborhood plans were before I bought my home. Here's what I mean by this one. If the development is being built in a neighborhood that's already established, then sure, you already know what the area is going to be like. But if this is a new area with not too much else around, then what else is going to be going in? What type of shopping will there be? Or what about schools? Is there any plans for schools or parks in the area? Or what about neighborhood? What other neighborhoods are there planned to be going in? Now, if the answers to questions like these, if they work for you, then hey, that's great. But if they don't, then this doesn't sound like it may not be the right location for you. Of course, though, if you do have any questions at all, or maybe you are thinking about buying or selling a home herein or just anywhere near the Inland Empire, my contact information is below. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, until then, catch you on the next one.